I am Professor Hui-Rak Park, former Dean of the Graduate School of Politics and Leadership at Kookmin University, Seoul, South Korea. I have conducted research on North Korea's nuclear issue for many years and have recently published 14 English-language journal articles as well as 2 books in English. Through this channel, I will explain critical security issues using AI-based voice and images.
If you'd like to hear more related content, please click the subscribe button.
Everyone, I once heard about something called vertigo from an Air Force pilot.
What is vertigo?
Simply put, it's when a pilot misperceives their actual position in space
Flies based on that false perception
and ends up crashing. Inside our ears, we have balance organs. We also rely on our vision to understand space.
Under normal conditions, these systems work fairly well.
But in high-speed, sharp maneuvers, nighttime operations, or bad weather, everything changes. That's when your senses start lying to you. Even when the aircraft is tilted, the pilot may feel, "I'm perfectly level." After a turn, a pilot might confuse the ocean with the sky,
Believe they are climbing.
and actually descend straight into the water. During rapid acceleration, they may mistake it for climbing, lower the nose, and cause an accident. Vertigo-related accidents account for a significant portion of fatal Air Force crashes. So why do these accidents happen? The reason is simple. Pilots trust their feelings more than their instruments. The instruments clearly show descending, but the pilot feels absolutely certain they're climbing. And that certainty leads to disaster. That's why Air Force training repeats one message over and over. Don't trust your senses. Trust your instruments. They train until that message becomes instinct. They even use special equipment to intentionally create sensory illusions. Why? To break the dangerous belief that my senses are always right. In dangerous situations, pilots are trained to follow procedures, not feelings. And finally, they are taught something very important. I can be wrong. Interestingly, experienced pilots can be even more vulnerable to vertigo. Why? Because confidence, the belief that I'm different, can become the greatest risk. Now here's the important point. Vertigo is not just an Air Force problem. It exists in our society as well. When objective facts presented by official institutions or major media conflict with our personal beliefs, what do we tend to trust? Most of the time, we trust our own thoughts. Once we make up our minds about something, it becomes very difficult to change. Even when new data is presented, rumors about THAAD, persistent claims of election fraud, firm beliefs about North Korea's long underground tunnels. These may all be examples of what I would call social vertigo. If Air Force vertigo is an error of the senses, social vertigo is an error of self-confidence. So what can we do? First, we must admit that vertigo exists, and that overcoming it is difficult. Second, reflect on times when you were wrong in the past. If you once believed THAAD radar radiation was harmful, or were convinced election fraud was proven, it takes courage to admit you may have been mistaken. Third, prioritize data over prejudice, primary sources over claims, official documents over rumors. Fourth, cross-check your information. Don't rely on just one media outlet, one YouTube channel, or one scholar. Compare perspectives. Fifth, internalize humility. I can be wrong. That sentence is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of intellectual maturity. Sixth, don't overestimate experience.
Even senior pilots fall into vertigo.
The more experienced you are, the more disciplined you must be. The Air Force conducts vertigo training because it recognizes a fundamental truth. Human beings are naturally vulnerable to illusion, and so are we. Our senses can be wrong. Our perceptions can be distorted. Just as pilots trust their instruments over their feelings, we must strive to trust objective facts over our personal convictions. When we do that, misunderstandings and confirmation bias in our society will decrease. Public debate will become more constructive, and policies will become more rational. I can be wrong. You can be wrong. The real question is not who is right. The real question is this: are we willing to admit that we might be wrong? Thank you.